Welcome back to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast. I'm excited to dig into this year's trends. So, if you're ready to build unstoppable donor movements, you're ready to break revenue plateaus, you're in the right place. And we're not digging into trends like a BuzzFeed article. So, this isn't just fluff or buzzwords. This is really what I'm seeing as major trends in the sector. And if you follow these trends, you will see increased growth, increased donor engagement and retention, and of course, donations. All right, so grab a pen, bookmark this, and get ready. So let's dig in. The first trend is the rise of brave fundraising. So organizations this year should double down on courageous outreach. So what does that look like? It looks like high touch donor asks and creating donor movements. We're going to dig into what that is here in a little bit, but just kind of notice that, but donor movements. Also, fear-based reluctance to ask boldly should be replaced by audacious goal setting and action. What do I mean? I mean, no more decaf energy, no more going to Mr. Donor, Mrs. Donor, and just taking what you can get, or not wanting to upgrade them or ask for more because you're worried, you're fearful, you think you've read too many headlines, you're believing that it's a bad economy, right? All of those things, and it's keeping your organization stuck versus having a conversation with your donors, getting to know them person to person, human to human, understanding their own goals, their own motivation, their own alignment. They're giving to your organization for a reason. Many times they're not giving more because you simply haven't asked for more. Like, what? What if you just asked for more? What if you were willing to hear no? What if you were willing to have a conversation that stepped into this expansiveness, this brave, bold, audacious ask in a way that you never had before? There's a client inside my coaching program, the club, and she's really rocked at this idea of brave fundraising in the past year. And she has not only upgraded donors, she has asked donors to donate to a particular campaign when they've already donated to another, or ask them to be donor matches when she literally had a donor say, no one's ever asked me to do this before. How cool. And they came in at a donor match at 5K. Like, what a gift that was for them. How amazing it is for the organization that now they're running a campaign with a donor match. But think about what it would be like to be in that donor's shoes. They're giving multiple thousands of dollars a year. So this particular person has given a 5-figure gift over, multiple over the course of the year, and no one's ever asked them before. Like, what an honor. How cool. But it took willing to be brave and bold and disrupt the status quo of, hey, maybe the donor might say no. And that willingness to hear a no will get you to a lot of yeses. Trend number 2, breaking free from traditional fundraising cycles. Okay. So we know that I don't like long, lengthy, boring, antiquated, old donor cultivation cycles. And here's the secret. Your donors don't either. Think about it. We are used to, this happened to me today, ordered something last night. It's on our doorstep at 6:30 this morning. That is wild. So if consumers are used to that level of service, which that even went above and beyond, right? Or the Uber Eats or the DoorDash, where it literally can be brought to my door often faster than I can go in the car, order, wait for people to prepare the food, and then drive it home to myself. It is faster than ever. Then why, oh, why are you making your donors do it the long way, particularly your mid and major donors, right? Why are you only offering them and inviting them to give once or twice a year? Why are you making them go through all of these hoops of coffees and phone calls and handwritten notes when they actually just want to be a part of a movement now? Think about it. Especially somebody who cares deeply about the environment, about healthcare, about social justice, about family services. They want to see a change yesterday. They don't want to see a change in, 120 months. Let them be a part of a movement now. So that takes, again, a willingness of step 1, being brave. And it also takes a willingness for your nonprofit to be nimble and adopt quick, forward-thinking, high-impact fundraising campaigns. Okay. Trend number 3, big one, the social street team revolution. This is revolutionizing the way that nonprofits fundraise, the way that nonprofits grow. Why? Because it's using the power of online influencers, the creator economy, and ambassadors, those superstar volunteers and supporters, and bringing them all together to champion, raise awareness, visibility, advocacy, and donations for your nonprofit. This is essential. This is essential. You should be putting more leads in your pipeline, right? More donors, more supporters, more volunteers. And it is very hard to do that if you're doing it all organically, right? If you're not doing any sort of paid outreach, or you don't have a big PR team or a big media budget or something like that. This is so much more powerful than any of that anyway. So creating a social street team to amplify the power of partnerships is essential. And the brands and the nonprofits that are doing this are seeing huge results and will continue to see huge results this year. So inside the club, my coaching program, this is what I teach. We have a complete system. We have complete templates and tools so that organizations can do this. And we typically see that nonprofits double their next campaign with a social street team. So highly, highly, highly recommend you start taking a nod from the for-profit playbook. They've been collaborating with influencers for a decade now, plus, right? Corporations know this. Nonprofits, don't be so late on this, right? It's time for your organization to partner with influencers and ambassadors, okay? So more about that in the club. The best way to learn about that is to hop on my waitlist, which we will have a link in the show notes for you, okay? Trend number 4, underutilized email is your biggest revenue leak. Okay, let me say that slightly differently. It's time to utilize your email list front and center as a core part of your fundraising strategy. It no longer should be a programmatic afterthought. It no longer should be a nice to have. It should be essential. It should be essential. Think about the success of Black Friday. Think about the success of Cyber Monday. Just close your eyes for a moment if you're not driving and think about how many emails you got from your favorite or not so favorite retailer, service provider, brand, business. How many emails did Nordstrom or Old Navy or Sephora or Ulta or wherever you shop? How many emails did they send you? Tons, right? They sent you a ton of emails because the ROI of email is 42x of every dollar spent. They know something that nonprofits are just not taking seriously. And I know this. I walk my clients through this, and it's true. Neon One knows this. We have the case study that shows that for every email subscriber, that should return a $6 for every email subscriber on every campaign. So if you plug in, we have a calculator. If you plug in the number of subscribers you have on your list, depending on the size of your nonprofit, you should be fundraising. Let's say you have 1,000 subscribers on your list. That's over $6,000 per campaign. Why aren't you doing that, right? It's because you're underutilizing your email list. So email is like the backbone, essential part for your nonprofit, for communication, for donor engagement, for event ticket sales, for memberships, for monthly donors, for any sort of fundraising content. Okay. So nonprofits that aren't doing this are absolutely leaving money on the table. We have an entire email course inside the club. So if you would like that, just send me an email and I will tell you about that email course, Easy Emails for Impact. We also have a self-study version. You're welcome to reach out to me if you're interested in joining that. Okay. Highly recommend this. This is how you scale up your time because you can have very simple but high impact automations running in the background. This idea of rolling out the red carpet for donors happens on email first. I joined 3 different monthly donor programs just in the last quarter, and I only remember one. Because one of them is staying so top of mind on email. It's so interesting. I'm like, oh yeah, what was the other 2 I donated to? What were they? Who are they? Oh, right. I see it on my credit card statement, right? Email. It's very, very sticky, builds a lot of loyalty, a lot of trust, and I highly recommend email first. Trend number 5, and this may be a hard one to hear. I don't know. Everyone, yes, even you, should hire support staff. And here's what I mean. The era of trying to do it all alone is over. So if you are the solo ED, let's talk to you first. If you have a small team or a large team, we'll talk to you second. Okay. If you're a solo ED, stop it. The reason why your organization is at the funding level you're at, which is very often 20,000, 50,000, under 100,000, is because you are DIYing the whole thing. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. I highly recommend bringing on a virtual assistant or admin person just a few hours a week to start to reclaim your time. This is how you work less, but fund more. Okay. Now, brands and businesses that feel like they came out of like a rocket that they launched. We think about Silicon Valley, where you're like, wow, how did that startup get so big so fast? They hired talent, they hired support, they invested in people. Those people were essential to scaling. Charity Water, great example of this. They hired people. Scott Harrison could not have reached a $100 million organization in such a short period of time if it was him and a programs person. Just think about that. Like it's impossible, right? And it's impossible for your organization too. Now you may be saying to me, I don't have the budget to. You have the budget for 2 hours a week. You absolutely do. Now we're going to bring on an expert. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast, because we are bringing on an expert on bringing onto the podcast who's going to discuss how to hire a virtual assistant, admin person, and how you can adapt that specifically for the lens of nonprofits. Many of our clients are doing this inside the club, and it's not only is it creating more time in their schedule for CEO time, for fundraising time, for building donor relationships, it's bringing in more revenue. Okay. So everyone should hire a support staff. Now, if your organization is mid to large size, yes, even you. Here's where I see y'all get stuck. I see many of y'all have a fundraising / comms person, and usually that person is great at one or the other, but not both. And one of the best areas that you can hire out a support team member or a contractor is for the area of comms, specifically marketing. Somebody who can help you create Canva graphics, social media posts, any sort of events. I had a client who's like, I've got to work on our flyer for our upcoming event. I'm like, you are the executive director. No, I want you to go bring in $20,000 of sponsorships for that event while you hire somebody to create a very simple flyer for you. You guys, this is essential. Okay. So that's how that looks for the mid to large size. And at the point that you continue to scale, you can bring on more of an executive assistant level person. Highly recommend that. Trend number 6, mid-level donors are your new gold mine. Okay. So what do I mean here? I mean, your nonprofit should really shift attention not only to the existing major donors in your world, but the mid-level donors. There are so many mid-level donors already in your world who already donate to your organization, who already know about your organization, who have already leaned in and raised their hand, and you are totally missing them. You're missing them. They're waiting to be upgraded. They are waiting to become board members. They are waiting to be invited to become a social street teamer. You just haven't asked them. These are people who care about your cause. These are people who very likely have a higher capacity to give. They just haven't been asked. They just haven't been asked. So really thinking about, what are some opportunities that I could bring a collective of mid-level donors together? Maybe this is an online event, like a virtual event. Maybe this is a one-to-one outreach. Really thinking about those warm leads, so important. I bet you could unlock another 20% in funding just by cultivating mid-level donors. Trend number 7. I'm going to get super spicy on this one. Generic messaging is out. Stop it. No more sterile nonprofit messaging. You're tired of writing it. We're tired of reading it. So let's all collectively knock it off. Okay. So no more safe generic communications that 100 out of 100 people are like, great idea, Susan. Amazing. No, your communications, that means your social media content, your emails, your any personal outreach, your fundraising, direct mail pieces, if you're doing any of that, should sound like you. They should sound like a human, a person wrote it. Donors are so hungry and waiting to support organizations that they actually know the people who are in the organizations. They actually feel connected to. One of the things that we value as like humanity, as humans, is connection. It's very, very important to our livelihood. And when nonprofit entities treat their people like entities, we miss the connection. We miss the point of feeling like I'm a human supporting another human who is helping humans, right? Connection, right? Like being part of a true movement. So it's really, really important to have a specific point of view. And also, if you're the executive director and you're listening to this, and maybe you have your programs person or your development person or your marketing person who one of them or all of them write some sort of content. Oh my God, please let them use their own voice. Okay. Like let Marta sound like Marta in her emails. Okay. Let Juliana sound like Juliana in her direct mail pieces. Let her sign it from her, because I'm so tired of supporting ominous brands, right? I'm not excited about donating to Nike when there's just, right? Imagine Nike was a nonprofit. I don't know the CEO of Nike. I don't know who the director of marketing is of Nike, right? I wouldn't be excited about donating to that organization, right? But when I think about other organizations, I'm going to use Charity Water as an example here. I actually can picture Scott Harrison's face. Like, oh yeah, I know him. I can actually picture a couple of the people who have emailed me from that organization. Let me give another shout out to the Adventure Project. Same thing. Becky does a great job of doing this, right? I can think of her and her unique voice. She has a unique voice of writing. She has a unique style, right? Or maybe an organization like Chamber of Mothers, and what they sound like is different. What the CEO sounds like is different than any other organization. So it takes the guts, the willingness to sound like you so you don't sound like everyone. And I want to give you the asterisk that like some people won't agree. Some people will be like, that email should be shorter. That email should be longer. That direct mail piece should be front and back. That direct mail piece should be one page, right? You cannot please everybody. And if you try to please everybody, you will please no money, right? Or you'll just please your board or whoever. And you're going to leave a lot of money on the table. You're going to lose a lot of time and leave a lot of money on the table. So really important to be nimble, to be curious, to be creative, to innovate, and to try something. And we go. Told you I was going to get hot on that one. Generic messaging is out. Last piece on that, donor attention crisis. So part of this is because there is a crisis. There is a crisis with donor attention. I just told you that I donated to 3 different nonprofits and I can't remember what the other 2 were, right? My memory is pretty decent, right? Like if I pause, I can really remember them. But the point is those organizations are not top of mind because they are not making it a priority for them to be top of my mind. They could do this by emailing me more or reaching out more. And they would also do this so much better if I was connected to the people in the organization, the people they serve, the people, the staff, the support team, right? Somebody, anybody. I remember when News Story Charity started doing Instagram reels and they had their actual staffers like talking head style in the reels. And I loved it because it was like, oh, human. It's not, everything doesn't seem like this formulaic B-roll or this formulaic stock video stuff, right? It's just a staffer in their home office. It just felt so real. And I highly recommend thinking about what's our version we could do for that. Trend number 8. The rise of monthly giving communities. So we had an entire series on the podcast all about recurring giving. And recurring giving is not just some little tab on your website that allows people to give monthly. Recurring giving is really productizing, creating a product or a program that encompasses being a part of a movement as a monthly giver. And this is really, really important. And the nonprofits that have said, yes, this is important to us. Yes, we're making this a priority, have seen a lot of revenue growth. And not only do they see the revenue growth because they start bringing in money, right? Funding on a monthly basis. So they're not getting as many peaks and valleys. So they can hire, they can increase staff support, they can increase programmatic growth because they have that consistent revenue, right? There's that piece, but they're also seeing more donor engagement. Because when you have a group of monthly givers, those givers, again, are like warm, warm, warm. They're like, we not only care about your mission, but we care about your mission so much that we want to give each month, right? Do not discount those people who are giving $20 a month. Those people can be some of your best social street teamers. So it's really important to think about, where can we increase our monthly giving program? Or if you haven't already, you can actually start your monthly giving program. We're going to link here in the show notes to, I have a monthly giving kit that is very affordable, that includes a monthly giving template to start your monthly giving program and a video training. So if you haven't started one, or maybe here's what I'll say, if you have less than 30 monthly donors, you haven't started a monthly giving program. Okay. If you haven't branded your monthly giving program, if it doesn't have a name, you haven't started a monthly giving program. Okay. If you're not communicating with that segment of donors on a regular basis, just that segment, you do not have a monthly giving program. And that's okay. I'm not saying that to be like, rude. I'm saying that to say there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity in recurring giving, because the lifetime value of a recurring giver is 8x. They typically stay with the organization for over 8 years versus an individual donor who gives one time. We see 8 out of 10 donors never give again. Highly recommend, if I'm looking at the pie chart of where you're going to devote a lot of your time this year, that is a chunk of the pie. Social street team is a chunk of the pie too. Mid-level donors is a chunk of the pie. You see me? Got that? Okay. Trend number 9, a new online fundraising campaign launch system. Now that sounded very marketing speak, but what do I mean? What I mean is, when you are running any sort of online fundraiser, so that could be for a spring event ticket sales, that could be a monthly membership. So if you're trying to get more monthly donors within a period of time, that could be for a program you're fundraising for, any sort of fundraiser, peer fundraising, anything. You need to rethink and reimagine the way that you're actually launching that. Okay. So we teach a process inside the club that has the 3 phases of campaign success. Okay. And a huge part of that phase is actually the priming phase before you even launch. Okay. And that priming phase is essential to the success of your campaign. So our clients that have had amazing Giving Tuesday fundraisers already knew this. They were going through their pregame and rocking it. So their audience was ready. They were building out their street team. They were mobilizing their street team, right? Really, really essential that you change the way that you're launching or promoting your online fundraisers, your event ticket sales, any of that. Okay. So donors are going to be drawn more to organizations that demonstrate this, that show social proof, that share testimonials, that have that trustworthiness in advance of the actual campaign launching. Okay. And we teach the entire process inside the club. Trend number 10. The power of belief and bold action. So this is a mindset trend. This is an inner work trend that is going to be essential. And I see this absolutely true of last year and even the year prior. The organizations that experienced growth in donors, growth in revenue, growth in awareness and visibility had that belief, cultivated that belief, and took bold action. If you believe your strategies will work and your mission will grow, that confidence will actually guide the decisions and inspire others to join you. It is infectious, contagious, right? Think about it. Like, your energy, your excitement draws people in or away. Draws people in or away. Think about like a puppy. Like a puppy, if you kind of match that puppy's energy, it will come towards you, right? But if you are kind of that puppy's gonna, right? If you're like low energy, that puppy's gonna walk up to you like, hey, are we gonna play? Are we gonna play? Are we gonna play? And then it's gonna give up, right? So you want to think about, like, where can I turn up that power, that belief, and the ways you can even look for past evidence, like past history of how it's actually inspired people to say, hey, can I help? Or, wow, I see what you've been doing. Wow, you guys have been busy, right? That buzz converts into a ripple effect. That buzz converts into a movement where people are like, I want to be part of that. I want to be on that train. What they're doing is amazing. I want to help. When nonprofits act with this unwavering belief in themselves, in their mission, in their vision, opportunities align. Partnerships emerge. People literally, this has happened. Like, can we partner with you? Can we be a sponsor, right? The universe conspires together to amplify their impact. And if this sounds a little woo, it is. It is. That's okay. Like, let it be a little woo. And this idea that we talked about in the past episode, in the previous episode of relentless optimism fits here of like really going to work for believing it's going to work, really going to work for believing people want to hear from you, really going to work for the idea that there are people, donors, supporters already in your world who are just waiting for you to call them, who are waiting for you to invite them to a Zoom, who are waiting for you to invite them to a coffee, who have been wondering if they can help. You just haven't asked them, right? So that belief, though, that belief that they already exist and then that there's more of them will fuel your mission forward. Okay. So that's a wrap on my 2025 predictions. I highly recommend that you choose what resonated most with you and take bold, decisive action. Okay. So hang on. If you want support to make these happen, hop on the waitlist for the club when we open later this spring, coming soon. We will link to that in the show notes. In the meanwhile, I highly recommend sharing this episode with a friend or colleague who is also curious about 2025 trends. Share it on LinkedIn and tag me in it. I would love to see what's resonating. Oh my God. I'm going to do the whole outro again. That's a wrap on my 2025 predictions and trends. I highly recommend taking the ones that resonate most with you and taking bold, decisive action. And as always, I'm here to support you. We will be opening up the club very soon. So hop on the waitlist so you get exclusive access to bonuses when we open up enrollment soon. And if you enjoyed this episode, highly recommend sharing it on social. Tag me on a LinkedIn post, screenshot it and tag me and tell me what most resonated with you. Maybe it was the rise of brave fundraising, or really cultivating that mid-level donor, or building out your social street team. I am here to support you, and I'm here to ensure that 2025 is your missions year. So let's go.